Boonboomger って書いてある。
子猫ちゃん。
3, 2, 1, and? Yep, all on cue with those non-Miski stands. We open this week with our heroes practicing for the Big Bang Grand Prix, which, judging by Mira just outright cheating to get ahead of everyone else, makes this feel even more like a Mario Kart reference. And like most of those games, there always has to be that one guy with the superstar power-up. They were warned about this by Shabe, who, oh yeah, she was a character in the show, wasn't she? But yeah, they later tried to figure out who ran them off the tracks, and for whatever reason, they were producing signals that matched the very unique ones from the Changers. Yep, it was that time of the year again for Sentai, and sometimes Precure, to introduce a Six Ranger. I mean, I guess the cat duel could count, but really, that's more like introducing the real main characters of the show. And like many of his predecessors, he was starting off antagonistic. Oh, and he also came with his own robotic partner.
こいつはカオスだ。
ビュンブンブンシグナルの反応ではないか。
Otoka was never the same after he lost his taxi. Also, yes, this character's name is Boon Diesel, and I'm just realizing that Boondoyo's full name is Boondoyo Boonderas, as in Antonio Banderas. I guess someone out there just really wanted to see Zorro in a Fast and the Furious movie. Anyway, these two were honored because they had business with the Hashran, who had just eaten their lunch of a lot of eggs by the looks of it. Jeez, did these guys run on cholesterol? The Violet Sentai was an Earthling, so he actually was returning to his planet after having picked up something from the villain's HQ in space. However, before delivering the goods, he used his brand new toy to locate the Boonboomger to do a little flexing, and no, not that kind of flexing, that's for next week. But yeah, while the first thing he did outside of his costume was helping a kid get his balloon out of a tree, he also did to show off that he thought he was better than Joe, which is factually impossible because there's no one better than the best boy. On that note though, let's actually talk about his outfit. Boon Violet's design seems to be more modeled after a pit crew member rather than an actual racer, with him wearing bigger utility gloves and had less conforming colors and deco, as he was meant to be outside of our main team. It's effective at making him stand out amongst the other Boonboomger, and violet and yellow are great complementary colors. I mean, just look at Shockwave and Skywarp for good examples. It's a good design that makes him look unique, but not to a distracting degree. Which isn't the same thing I could say for his civilian outfit, which, yeah, that just looks ridiculous. I mean, the violet jacket makes sense, but what's the deal with everything else? The cross in his shirt, the stripes and flags on his pants, all of that doesn't make him look any more fashionable and more just silly, which shouldn't be the vibe you're going for when trying to make a guy look cool.
トップだからな。
I'm guessing you're also gonna walk the path to heaven. But yeah, he also went on to steal a job from Gemba and outpace Ishiro like this were a Droopy cartoon or something. And for the one girl on this team, he decided to just sweep her off her feet. Yeah, try to do that without special effects next time.
Wow.
Yeah, believe it or not, they did that for real after 156 takes. However, Taya, being Taya, managed to pull off his job before he could beat him to it, though I'm not sure how he would even be able to do it unless he stole the goods from Taya, but whatever. In any case, the two got to know each other in the most Red and Six Ranger way possible.
ホムラサキトだ。覚えとけ。
An antagonistic loner in purplish attire named Homura. Well, at least he's not quite as blatant an XB as the cat. But yeah, overall, this was an interesting way of introducing a new Sentai. Of course, like many of his kind, Homura needed to come off as better than at least most of the team, just to make sure his new toy looked more favorable in the eyes of the kids who would buy it. Though I am glad that he at least didn't outmatch Taya, as then the question will arise, why would we even need the rest of our heroes? Sure, it does make Taya look like the special of this team, but really, that's kind of been a thing since pretty much the beginning of the show, so it's not that big a deal at this point. Anyway, Homura finally got around to delivering his goods to Cannonborg, though he clarified that even though he was similar to Taya in many ways, including having a robot partner, he wasn't a courier like him.
おった。宇宙一の始末屋だ。
Potato potato. Anyway, the goods turned out to be an evil version of the Boom Boom Classic already in its attack mode, because I guess their cheap knockoff mech doesn't have that gimmick. Though it also meant that when they turned it into a monster of the week, it became a sword monster who had a rather familiar voice. I guess even in Japan, stereotypical samurai is also a typecast. Back with the Boonboomger, Budoyo had recognized Homura's weapon as the Boom Boom controller. Yeah, as it turned out, it was something he had created to help him speed up during the Grand Prix, but couldn't figure out how to get it to work, so he just threw it away. Yeah, okay, now we're seeing the actual Ash Ketchum come out of this character. Of course, the question then came up, how did an Earthling come into possession of it? Moreover, they found a listing for a missing child with the same name as him. Interesting stuff, but who cares about intrigue? Let's just get right back into the big dumb explosions of the show. Okay, but seriously, as usual, the action was quite good, as I really like these times when the Sentai use their airtime as effectively as possible by incorporating the roll call into the actual fight. Multitasking at its finest. However, like a sword, their enemy grew sharper and stronger every time they struck it. Well, okay, he's already pulling off a lot more than the Royal Bull ever did. During all of this, Cannonborg also properly introduced himself to the Boonboomger, which I legit didn't realize this was their first time meeting until it was pointed out. I guess it helps that he has held such a strong presence throughout this arc. And his latest monster was certainly living up to that standing. Thus, a new kind of sort of hero needed to come in for the rescue. Weird. I remember the Konami code being a lot longer than that. But yeah, kind of confusingly, Homura came in to save the day. I mean, yeah, he does give a reason after the fight, but just going on what we've seen in this episode so far, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. That said, those complaints are quickly forgotten with this awesome debut fight. Again, not only did it have some of the show's amazing camera work that really got across Homura's super speed, but his weapon was also pretty damn awesome, being a bow that could fire CGI arrows in very rapid succession, especially in Gatling mode. From there, he delivered a rider kick, again wrong show dude, which was basically him coming in like a dragster, and also got around the monster's gimmick by attacking the same spot multiple times, so that even if he was getting stronger, something would eventually have to give after enough pressure was applied to one point. With that, he finished things off with one more arrow, and okay, maybe he does have a little more in common with the magical girl than I originally thought. However, this was all still a part of Keikaku for Cannonborg, as he managed to recover the sword that still retained all of the power it had collected over the battle. And the episode ended with Homura revealing that he had defeated the monster because he wanted something in return, which was to meet the creator of his weapon, who also happened to be the rival of his partner.
Well, Ash, you snooze, you lose, and you're way behind right from the start.
You know, I can usually tell a lot is going on in an episode when I can't make as many of my stupid jokes as I want to. I mean, aside from the obvious significance of introducing a sixth ranger to this show, a lot of interesting twists are clearly being built up in regards to the main plot too. Thus, and while Homura certainly got an effective debut, this is also one of the stronger... Thus, and while Homura certainly got an effective debut, this is also one of the stronger episodes in terms of actually pushing the story forward in some intriguing directions. While there is a lot of questions regarding this character, Homura is still a very familiar archetype for this franchise. He just does his own thing, and it is suspect whether or not he'll entirely join the main team. And yet, so far at least, the show is pulling it off with some actual intrigue. How did he find the controller? How did he meet Diesel? Why is he so obsessed with outshining the Boonboomger? Of course, it's still too early to tell whether or not they'll give us some satisfying answers to all of this, but they are at least interesting questions for now. And until then, we can just enjoy how much of a badass this character is. As I said, his debut fight was awesome, but just the character's general swagger between his main actor and suit actor is infectious, and he just oozes charisma. And like many Six Rangers of his type, he could provide a good shake-up as a means of encouraging the rest of the team, sans maybe Taya, to get good. And yeah, his rivalry with Taya so far is interesting, as they are clearly meant to mirror each other, which in turn could reveal more of his secrets. There's a lot of directions they could take this character, as well as some of the other developments in this episode, like Cannonborg's sword, so I'm at least looking forward to it. And overall, this was just a great introduction to a new, I guess, anti-hero for now? Later this week, we are going to release a little doujinshi review in relationship to the upcoming Mahotsukai Precure 2. Honestly, it's going to be more for fun, as it's a less serious story that's not going to require any deep sort of character analysis, but considering how little analysis I've actually done for Wonderful, that's kind of par for the course for Precure this year. So, look forward to it. Until then, though, farewell for now, my friends, and, shoot, did the batteries run out on this again? This is what I get for buying third party.